Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome wherever you are in the world to USA Global TV and Radio, where we proudly provide world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. Our show today is Authentic Achievements, and this is an incredible show because it reflects a platform that was created by the star of our show, KIM-ADELE Randall. The name of the platform is Authentic Achievements. Let's just take a quick look here at Kim's website. She's got a couple of websites, but here we see Authentic Achievements, your trusted partner in fractional C-suite board advertising and executive coaching. So without further ado, let's welcome the star of our show and hear what she's up to, because today we are discussing accomplishments. We're celebrating joy to the world in 2024. Welcome, Kim-ADELE. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Hi, Dr. JACALYN. It's so lovely to see you.
Thank you. It's so lovely to see you as well. And we just share backstage. We've both moved houses and are in new locations. So how are you feeling about your space?
Oh, I'm loving it. I mean, it's been a bit of a roller coaster. We were just chatting. I think we've shared some similar roller coaster experiences. So I'm just under 2 weeks in. So I moved in a week ago on Monday, and it's starting to look pretty straight. I don't think I've slept. Because I've been putting up pictures and was desperately trying to get it to look like a home, ready for my little girl's birthday, which was last Saturday. So we moved in on the Monday, and I was still putting pictures up at like midnight the night before her birthday, going, it will look like home. It will look like home. So I am super, super grateful and just loving it. We are so appreciative of our new space.
Where are you compared to where you used to be?
So we've moved to Nottingham, which is where I grew up. So we moved to be closer to family. We're in a beautiful little part of it that's called the Park. It's the hardest place to describe. You're smack bang in the centre of one of the busiest cities in the UK, and yet less than half a mile, and you're in this beautiful suburb that's all tree lined and houses that look like there's something out of Downton Abbey, of which we're renting a flat within one of them. And it's just bizarre to think it's so quiet and so peaceful here. And yet within half a mile, I could be smack bang in the city centre. It makes no sense unless you've actually ever been here. And I keep pinching myself every day going, it's really ours. I am so very grateful.
Oh, that's beautiful. And, to think that I was just in London and I have a much better sense of how things are laid out than I did before I went there. One thing that really was of interest to me, and we're talking about accomplishments, so we'll segue back to that, but it was so interesting to me how many people are commuting into London. And I know from where I was staying that we walked about 9 minutes, if you're walking really fast, to get to the train. And then we took the train to Waterloo, and then we would take 1 or 2 tubes to get to where we had to go and then walk. And it's a lot more exercise than what I'm used to in terms of going from point A to point B, just jumping in the car. So do you find that where you are now too, or do you have to use a vehicle?
So no, I can pretty much walk everywhere, with the exception of the school run, which is just a little bit too far. So I do have to take the car for that, and obviously shopping and that. But it's just lovely to be able to, within 10 minutes you can be at the train station. There's great connections here although we don't have an underground, we have an overground. So we've got a kind of like metro piece, so you can get pretty much anywhere. With so many different forms of transport. And you're right. The whole, once you've been to London, you get that feel, don't you? So where I lived before, I lived there because it was classed as commutable, even though actually I was, if you look on a map, I'm smack bang in the middle of the UK, and yet I could get into London in just over an hour. So people living in London can take longer than that to get to the centre of London. So it has really opened up where people can live, and I think COVID definitely opened that up, because people realised that actually they wanted to love the place that they lived, in case they spent a lot more time there. So we saw a lot of people move out of London and move into the countryside and commute back in, which I think has really changed the dynamics for people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to say, it sounds like for 2024 accomplishment for you, one of them will be this move. Is that correct?
Absolutely. So this is just a dream come true, if I'm honest, Dr. Jacalyn. I am pinching myself, and as is Scarlett. And I think you always worry when you move, particularly with the little person, and because it's upheaval, it's a new school, it's making new friends. And although she was the one that wanted to make the move because of wanting to be closer to family, there was an element for me of like, does she really understand what that move entails and what that's going to look like? And then she woke up on Friday morning, so our fifth day here, and she went, "Mummy, I just love our new house, and I love our next adventure." And I'm so very grateful. So as you know, we have a little gratitude jar, and we write down the things that we're grateful for, and we chat about them every day. And this was definitely one that went in our gratitude jar, and does feel like a real achievement, a real next step for us on our journey to the next adventure.
That's so beautiful that you did that together, and that you were a team in that, because I just know myself moving. This was my 24th move. This was I don't want to use the word worst because I don't want to judge it, but it was a major move with movers coming from 2 different states. And then the freight elevator was out, and the movers had to actually carry up very heavy, big furniture up to 11 floors. It was a huge undertaking. But I know for me, I just feel so happy to be in this space. And even though there's no heat for 2 weeks, I'm still grateful, because I feel like it's reflective, this space, it's reflective of me. And it sounds like you feel that way as well. So in the coaching that you do and working with, whether it's individuals, or I know you work with a lot of organizations, how important is it to feel comfortable in your space, in your skin, in your organization, in your office, in your team?
I think it's so important, because when we feel uncomfortable, we're wasting precious brain power and focus on convincing ourselves it's okay, really. No, it's okay, really. It might not be perfect, might not be what we want, but it'll be okay, really. And yet that nags underneath us and gives us that doubt. And I think for me, a large part of the comfortableness comes from having that clarity. And that really opened up to me when I first walked in and saw this place. It was like, it was just so light, so airy, and I got that impression of clarity. It'd be very difficult to be confused in a space that is so light, and it really struck me that actually this was part of the plan. And I think very often, particularly with the people that I work with and that I coach in the organizations, they think they're really clear on what it is that they're wanting to do, what it is that they're trying to achieve. And yet actually what I find is the number one problem is that clarity does not permeate the entire organization. So people are unclear on the part they need to play, and are very often uncomfortable about sharing that they're unclear on where it's going. So I think making focused time to re-evaluate where you're going, to ensure that you've got absolute clarity on what it is that you're trying to achieve, and that then you've actually created the space and shared that with your people and allowed them to have permission to be part of that solution, is the real game changer. And yet it's something that very often we are too convinced we've already done. It's like, oh, we did the vision. Yeah, we did that. It's like, but does anybody know it? Not can they recite the words, but do they understand exactly what it is we're trying to achieve and the part that they can play in it? Because if we don't regularly review and reinforce where it is we're going to go, then it's basically like putting your sat nav on and only giving it half of the information and expecting it to get you there in the fastest route.
Excellent points. Absolutely. And, something that comes to light for me is, as part of this whole move process, where I am now, I'm not going to say where I am, but I feel that there's some major issues in the organization. And yet the people I deal with on an everyday basis, there are the brand ambassadors, and they still have to show up every day knowing that their organization is not delivering at the level that they should be delivering for what they committed to. And you have to give people like that a lot of credit, because you can get so worn down and beaten up knowing that every time you go see a client or a customer, they're going to be saying, well, this is wrong and that's wrong. And meanwhile, they're doing what they can. But at the top level, you might have a vision, you might have a website, you may portray that this is what you're delivering, but in reality, you're not. And your people know it.
And that's so hard because, our people, our frontline, are the face of our organization. And so, if anyone's upset or frustrated or annoyed, it's them that they're going to take it out on, even though, as you say, they're doing everything that they possibly can, everything that's in their power to be able to achieve what it is that the customer's looking to achieve. And that can become very demoralizing very quickly if the organization isn't delivering on its promise, and leaves them in that sticky situation where they're kind of the go-between, but they haven't got any empowerment to be able to fix. And very often it comes down to miscommunication. With a lot of the organizations that I work in, what's been quite interesting is how quickly you can see a turnaround. And I've had all the owners that I work with are like, we're amazed at how fast you make a difference. And so the number one thing I do, the very first thing that I do, is make sure that everybody in the organization understands exactly what we're trying to do and why we're trying to do it, and has the opportunity to share when we get in our own way. Because we do, we get in our own way, not meaning to, but it just happens. I used to say that I made my previous career on asking the dim girl questions, or the dumb girl questions, maybe, so it translates better for our audience. In that, I used to go and ask people on my first day, can you tell me what the silliest thing is that we make you do? What do we make you do every day that you go, what on earth are we doing this for? Because I promise we probably don't know that you're doing it. So if we understood that, we could take away some of those things, which are the cornerstone of the frustration that's in the organization. And then they can start to share with you the things that they think could be done differently, that are actually going to improve, that are going to allow us to really excel and achieve our goals. But if we've not given them permission to be part of the solution, and we're not sharing that open environment to ask, where are we getting it wrong? Where are we getting in our own way? Where are there opportunities for us to do something differently? Then they'll just keep doing the daft things we ask them to do. And we won't get that feedback. We won't understand that they actually are adding no value.
It's so on point. And I think also, to dovetail that, many times people will feel intimidated or afraid that they're going to lose their job if they speak up, or maybe lose that potential to get a promotion. And what I'm hearing from several friends I have who are in corporate, now that the year is winding down, they're not really looking at any accomplishments. They're looking at how much they hate their job. They hate it. They can't wait to get out. They don't. And so I've said, well, what can you celebrate about what you have accomplished this year? Well, what I'm celebrating is thinking about getting out of here. So how can we turn that around? Because we need those accomplishments. We need those wins. If you feel that you are in a dead end job, or your organization isn't doing as well as expected, maybe you're publicly traded and your stock numbers are low, what is it that you can do to just celebrate some small things?
A great question, because it can be really hard. I spend a lot of time in corporate life. And when you don't love your job, it can be really, really hard. But if we don't celebrate anything, then actually it goes from being a bad day to a bad life. And that then becomes our reality. It then becomes something that we dread, and it's all awful. So I try and every day go, what are the 3 things that I'm grateful for today? Some of the times, I'll be honest, Dr. JACALYN, sometimes on some days, one of the things I'm grateful for is that I adulted appropriately for 12 hours. And that might not seem like a massive achievement to anybody else. But on those days where I'm balancing far too many things, or something's gone hideously wrong in my life and work's not going so well, the fact that I made it through the day, the fact that I actually got up and kept going is something that I will acknowledge for myself, and I'll recognize. Or was there anybody I helped today? Because sometimes we look at the organization and we see the things that we're not getting. We see the things that we wish were different for us and for our experience, but we don't look at what difference are we making. So did we help somebody else out who might have been having an equally bad day, but we gave them some time. We sat and listened to them. We gave them a different perspective. We helped them to achieve something. Because actually, the thing we can be really grateful for and the thing we can celebrate in that moment is irrelevant of what was happening in our world. We had a positive impact on somebody else's, and that's to be celebrated, because we stopped them having a horrendous day, and maybe made it, even if it wasn't a great day, we made it more bearable as a result of the impact that we had. And so what I try and do is look at what are the things that I can celebrate and appreciate where I made a difference to somebody, even if it was a small difference, but I made a difference, because then today was worthwhile. Then today added value. So I think it's being intentional and mindful of it, of saying, look, I understand all the things that aren't working, that aren't going well, that don't make this the place that I long to be. But can I celebrate some small things that said, today I made a difference? Because it's amazing the change that has on us psychologically, and also, therefore, how it pans out in our days. They go from being unbearable to being bearable, which allows us to have the headspace to find what it is that we do want. Because I think, and if it's okay, I'll share a brief story. I remember once, many years ago, making the biggest career mistake of my life. And that was because I wasn't intentional. I so disliked the job that I had. I was so unhappy and wasn't doing anything intentional to focus on the things I was grateful for, that when I started looking for a new job, I wasn't running towards what I wanted. I was running away from what I had. And so I got this job and I was super proud of myself, and I relocated 100 miles away to where I knew nobody for this job that was going to be amazing. And I hated it with a vengeance. It was even worse than the one that I left. And I was now stuck where I knew nobody. And I was there for 3 months, 2 of which were my notice, because I hated it so much. I left and found a different job back at a previous employer. And then spent the next 18 months commuting all the way back to where I'd previously lived, because the mistake that I made was being too focused on what I didn't want and not focused enough on what I did want. And so now I try and make sure that when I'm asking myself, why is it that I think this is the right answer, I'm being really conscious about, is it because it's just not what I've got? In which case it might not be the right answer, because it's being driven by what I don't want, not by what I do want.
Yes, I love the way that you laid that out. That makes perfect sense. And I'm thinking also, if we just look at a basic example, someone goes to work and they can't stand it, right? So they come in, they're already tight, tense. Everyone they interact with, it's like, oh, I hate being here. And so now they're taking that negativity, they're spilling it over into someone else's life. By the time they leave, I'm going to use the word polluted. They've polluted the organization with negativity. They go home to whomever, and then they're, oh, I can't see. And it just goes on and on and on, instead of saying, you know what, I'm not where I want to be yet. To your point, I love that word, yet, but I am thrilled that I have a place to go. I have team members. I have a check. I have benefits, whatever the case is, instead of just zoning in on whatever that core thing is. So something that's coming up for me, and I'd love to have you talk a little bit about this, because this is an accomplishment, I truly believe. When we're able to look at what is the foundation of our discontent, what is it that, aside from all the check marks that we're not checking, what is it at the core of who we are and what we're doing that is causing us to feel this upsetment? Does that resonate with you?
It does, because very often we don't get to the cause, we deal with the symptoms.
Yes.
So symptom all over the place, but we've not dug underneath it to go, but why is that really important? Why is that such a problem for me? Or why is that so important? What will be different when I get that? What would it look like? What would it sound like? How would it be? Because we accept our first answer as human beings, and the answer we give is always the one we think is most likely to be accepted. And that's what we do with other people. It's also what we do with ourselves. So when you get somebody who's leaving an organization, you say, why is it you're leaving? And they always go, it's the pay. And you go, okay, that's really interesting. So what is it about the pay? And once you dig underneath, and there is an old theory that's called the 5 why theory. But the point is, once you keep digging into, okay, so tell me what makes that so important? What would be different if that was fixed? You find out actually it's not the pay. I mean, the pay might be an element, but actually they don't like the boss, they don't like the work, and they feel that they're undervalued and unempowered. But if you don't ask the next level of questions, you'll never get to that. So you'll think that the organization's got a problem just with pay. So you'll waste all of your energy and all of your time and focus on fixing a pay issue, and then wonder why people are still leaving. Because the research shows that I think something like 57% of people who leave an organization leave because of their boss. I mean, that's terrifying as a leader. More than 1 in 2 leavers leave because of you. If that is not an eye-opener to want to change, I don't know what is. But I think we have to examine further. We have to be more curious about why a certain thing is important. Why are we so convinced that it's right or it's wrong? What if there were an alternate option that was available to us? Because the more curious we can be, the more open-minded we can be, the easier it is for us to find new solutions and really excel ourselves forward.
Yes. And I think it's setting ourselves up for success and for wins. And in 2 weeks, we're going to be talking about goals that we have for 2025. And I think now it would be kind of fun to just go around and go back and forth with some accomplishments that we feel we've had for this year. And I'll just start because this just happened the other day. But as you know, you were one of our award winners for 2024. And I put a lot of time and effort into each award. And when I finished it, and the other day, I posted all the certificates together, and I thought to myself, and this is not from an ego place, it's from a heart place. I thought, oh my gosh, like people from all over the world, most of whom I've never met, have made such incredible contributions to this platform, to my life, to other people's lives. And if I didn't walk through the door of fear and uncertainty and all the people saying, what do you know about television? What do you know about radio? I mean, it's amazing. And so I'm not sitting here, flush with cash, but my heart is full beyond words, more than I can ever share with you. And so when I look at my friends who make a lot more money than I do, they're so miserable in general because they can't stand what they're doing. And I'm just grateful to have you in my life and to hear about what's going on with you and what you've built and what you've grown. So that to me is really an authentic achievement. So over to you. What are your thoughts about something that you feel so empowered about accomplishing this year?
Oh, I love that, Dr. JACALYN. And I was so super grateful to receive the award. And I'm super grateful and always celebrate the fact that you've let me be part of the platform. You still let me be part of the platform. Because I think sometimes we look at these things and we forget to be grateful and to acknowledge some of the accomplishments that fill our hearts. For me, one of my great accomplishments is having built this home for Scarlett, and the fact that she loves it and that we're building it together, and that on Friday, most people probably think I'm a real weird. We moved in on Monday, we had no electricity, we had no heating until the Wednesday, and on Friday I cooked full-on Christmas dinner for my mum and one of her oldest best friends, and for Scarlett, amidst trying to put up pictures and Christmas trees. And I said to my mum, and very, very rare that I actually will ever outwardly acknowledge, I said to mum, I'm just going to take a moment and just be proud of myself that actually I got it done. I got it done, and I've created a space where we can sit down and have a family meal within a week, and we can celebrate Thanksgiving a day late, admittedly, and get ready for Scarlett's birthday. And I managed to do that as a single mum on my own, and I can be proud of that. And I think sometimes it's those bits that, like, why was I proud of that? I was proud of it because of the look on their faces and the fact that we were able to celebrate our lives together, and the friendships that have lasted for longer than I've been living. And the beauty that brings. So you've got new friendships that come in every year, and they're all full of joy and wonder, and what's going to happen next, and what's the new adventure. But you've also got all those existing relationships that have built so much into your heart and into your home, that are there to be grateful for. I'm very lucky that one of my best friends has been my best friend since I was 4. Others have been around for 25, 30 odd years. Others, like yourself, have been around for the last 3 or 4. Some brand new, just starting as part of the move. And I think they're the things that we sometimes take for granted. And yet they are real accomplishments, that we've made a big enough impact in someone's life that they want to remain part of ours.
Oh, wow. I just have to applaud you for that. Absolutely. That is tremendous. And that is what I would say is priceless. It's absolutely priceless. And what you've accomplished before the end of the year, right, with all the holidays and all the rush, and some people would say, why would she do it now? Why wouldn't she? Because we have to walk through the door. Sometimes people keep putting things off and putting things off. People say, why are you wearing that jewelry? Or why? Because I could be dead tomorrow. So I'm wearing my stuff. I'm doing my stuff. I'm doing it today. And one thing that I reflect on that I'm truly grateful for is, just a couple of months ago, I left someplace else in New Jersey. I drove to Florida. I got my mother's house up for sale, sold literally everything in the house, all the furniture, either donated or sold it. And we got the house sold. It was so fast. It was unbelievable. There were a few complications for the closing, but anyway, got it done. Left there, went to London, came back, went to Virginia, then had to get all my stuff from 3 different places, moved in, told you all the issues that occurred. There are still issues. And I look around and I said, that's pretty amazing, by the grace of God, that I got this done by myself. Because as you know, as a one person who's not in a relationship with someone else, it's a lot. It's a lot, but we just keep going because you're an example to your daughter. She's looking to you. And by the way, I love the post that you had of the 2 of you twinning. Is that the word, twinning?
Yeah, that's my little girl's favorite word. So she thinks we're twins. And as you can see, I mean, we're like the oddest twins since Schwarzenegger and DeVito. I'm 51 and she's 8. We're not twins in many ways whatsoever, but I love the fact that she thinks that we are. And her favorite thing in the world is if we can find something that makes us look like we're broadly wearing the same thing. So I did share one of her favorites, which is matching coats, and we also have matching boots for the same outfit. But I love that, actually, and for me it's a great accomplishment. I love that I've built a strong enough relationship with my little girl that actually she wants to think that she's my twin, and she wants to be connected with me, because as an older mum, it was one of the things I was concerned about, was would she find that difficult or uncomfortable, the fact that her mum's the oldest mum in the school, and then probably is older than some of the grannies, but she doesn't seem to see the age. And that for me is always a great reminder of what we really should have and should accomplish. It has to be my little bear, is the fact that that's just the most precious gift. I mean, I'm gifted with an earth angel, and she makes such an impact to everybody she meets. And one of the things that I celebrate is the fact that whilst, similar to you, I'm not sitting on piles of cash, and some days are more tough than others as we work it all through, I do have the absolute priceless privilege of most days being the one that takes her to school and being the one that picks her up, and being able to carve out that time that's so precious, because we never get that back. And as you say, we should wear the things, we should dance the dance, we should face the fear and do it anyway, because none of us are getting out of here alive. We may as well make it as much fun as we can while we're here.
Yes. And of course, we are very positive about the future, and especially when you have a young one there, that you are really twins, soul sisters, and also mother and daughter. So that's beautiful. Now, you had shared earlier in the year that you were on a health journey, and you had started exercising and made some changes. How have you feel you've accomplished, or have you accomplished what you wanted to for this year, or are you a work in progress?
I'd say I'm a work in progress, definitely. I'm proud that I'm still going, because actually what I've done is whereas before what I would do, Dr. Jacalyn, is if I kind of didn't exercise for a day or something, I go, oh, I'll start again on Monday. I just kick the can down the road, we'll just start it another day. Whereas actually I've gone, okay, but tomorrow's a brand new day. And I realized, and I know if I'm proud of this as a bit of an accomplishment, that's what I say to my little girl all of the time. So if she has made a poor choice and that's come with a consequence, such as we were going to the movies, but because you've done that, we're not going to the movies now. I always say to her, but tomorrow's a brand new day. So just because you made a bad choice today and you've got to live with that consequence, tomorrow's a brand new day. So it's back on the cards for tomorrow. You just have to make better choices. And I realized that's what I was doing to her, but that's not what I was doing to myself. I was like, well, it's a bad week now. It's not a bad day. So I can make more bad choices. It'll be okay, because Monday is when I hit the restart. And that didn't sit comfortably with me, because it's like, well, hold on, you're not walking your walk. So you're giving Scarlett a different piece, which is you restart at the end of the day, and tomorrow you can start again. So you can make better choices. I was allowing myself to wallow in bad choices for another 3 or 4 days. And so the bit I'm proud of achieving is the fact that when I have not done what I said I was going to do, the next day I've done something different. Now what I need to do is make that more consistent. So I'm doing the right things every day instead of the constant need to reset myself.
I think it's brilliant that you're aware of it, and you're open to saying it and sharing that, because I think sometimes we lie to ourselves. We tell ourselves stories that are not really true. And like you, especially with the move, maybe this has a big tie into it, but I have not been exercising as much as I typically do, because, there's no heat, I'm freezing. Yeah. It's like, it's hard to get yourself motivated. But at the same time, I say to myself, that's just this moment in time. In fact, I have an Apple phone and watch, and yesterday it just shared some statistics about my workouts for the last 26 weeks, which I was like, oh, thank you. And it was all pretty positive about the number of steps I've taken, the number of hours I stand, all these things. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to embrace this. The last 2 weeks, I'm not getting an A+. That's okay. We've talked about trophies, and you know how I feel about gold stars and things. So even though I have worked out, I don't work out like I used to twice a day. When I lived in Florida and it was so warm out all the time, it was not a big deal to go for a 5-mile walk or go for a run. But now it just seems like when it's cold, it's a big deal to do everything. But so my point is, I think, and I love your opinion on this, I think consistency over time outweighs inconsistency for a short period of time. It's just a moment in time.
I completely agree. And I think one of the things that I love about what you've just shared, and having known you for a few years, is one of the things I love for you to celebrate is the fact that actually you've accomplished being kind to yourself. That actually you are able to go, do you know what? With everything else that's gone on, with moving house and all the other things, yes, I might not have exercised as much as I want to do for the last 2 weeks, but I'm still going. I'm still running this amazing platform. I'm still giving back and giving value every single day. And I'm allowing myself to take some self-care and say, as long as it's not forever, it's absolutely okay for me not to exercise right now, because I've got enough on, and I will bring it back in once I've got these parts fixed. And it takes us such a long time to get to a place where we can acknowledge ourselves and accomplishments where we put ourselves first, because that isn't something that it comes naturally to you or I, as you told Jacalyn. So, I would love to celebrate that. I think this year, both of us have found an opportunity to include some self-care and some self-appreciation into the things that we're looking to acknowledge.
Yes, definitely. I think that is a big accomplishment. I think something that I'm still working on, and I'd love to have your thoughts on this, is tuning out what people say, and at the same time looking for any possible nuggets of gold that might be there. And I'll give you an example. My hair is really long, and people are just coming up to me out of nowhere going, yeah, your hair is too long. yeah, for your age, your hair is too. I'm like, oh. And the other day, someone came up to me and said, have you ever walked behind someone and they have really long hair and then they turn around and you go, oh my God, that's you. And I said, oh, thank you so much for that. So my point is, in looking at accomplishments, I'm not taking it personally because I'm thinking, I wonder what's coming up for this person, these people who are just coming out of nowhere. I'm like, is it a sign from the universe? Is it just negativity? I don't know exactly what it is, but I think I will cut my hair. So anyway, what do you find about that when you feel good about something in yourself and other people just blatantly come and give you opinions?
I'm slightly blown away by how rude people
I saw your face. I know.
What on earth? As you know, my motto with my little girl is, to live a life of passionate curiosity and pass thoughts, words, and deeds through. Is it kind? Is it honest? And does it add value? So maybe some of the people giving you feedback might like to pick up on that motto and give it a try. I just think to myself, actually, there's nothing more beautiful than somebody who is confident in how they're choosing to be. And why would we want to go and dent that? I've had a different issue. I've had loads of people go, I don't understand why you've gone grey, because you've got quite a young face. And I was like, interesting. It's not changed my face. It's just, I've just changed my hair. But they had a real issue with it. And I was like, okay, well, each to their own. So you may not want to be grey yet. I really don't mind that I'm grey now. Whether that comes from my mum went grey early, I don't know. But I guess I kind of like look at people's opinion now and I'm okay to say thank you and then leave it where it is. It's like, it might be different to mine. That's okay. That doesn't mean to say I've got to necessarily question my own. It's like my hair and how I look really is only my business. I mean, other people can have a view on it. Other people can go, well, you look dreadful, or you should lose weight, you should grow your hair, you should dye your hair, you should whatever. But that's their opinion. I don't need to make it change mine. As long as what I'm doing isn't being unkind to anybody or isn't impacting them, then I think I get to choose. And if I feel happy as I am, that should be okay. And you look beautiful. And who says that you can't have long hair? Who decides that at what age that we can or cannot have long hair, short hair, no hair? It shouldn't make any difference, because it's not about who you are. Who you are is in here. This is just about how we show up. And that really is our identity for a reason. It's ours.
It's very true. This is just a container. This is a container, and it's in here. And so what I try to keep in mind is maybe the person isn't ill-intentioned. Maybe it's not jealousy. Maybe, I don't know what it is. But when I was in London, as a segue, one of the things that really stood out for me was how everybody looked different and people were speaking different languages. And it was so cool. And it was so beautiful. And I absolutely loved how culturally diverse it is in London. And so you're not looking at someone going, oh, why does she look like this? Why? It's just like everybody looks different and it's beautiful. Yeah. Whereas I feel here in different pockets of the States, there's still a lot of judgment and there's still a lot of prejudice in ways because people look different, they sound different. But once you leave this country and you start traveling, you realize it's a beautiful thing.
It is, and we should celebrate those differences, because underneath we're all the same. Underneath we're made up of the same things. We need air to breathe, and actually what we look like shouldn't be so important as to how we are, how we act, what impact that we have, and the beautiful souls that are within us, that are seeking. And I think we do sometimes want to feel a necessity to conform. And I think sometimes when people are giving us that feedback, it's because actually they wish they had the courage to be however they wanted to be, and yet they've not faced that fear yet of non-conformity. I remember my mum saying when we were younger that she couldn't wait till she was old so that she could grow old disgracefully and wear whatever she wanted. And I was like, why wait till you're old? Who says you can't do that now? What harm would it be if you suddenly decided, Mum, to turn up wearing head to toe purple and having dyed your hair green? Who would you be harming? And yet we've layered some societal need on what we look like. And whether or not, and therefore we hold ourselves back from that. I'm not pretty enough, I'm not intelligent enough, I'm not thin enough, I'm not worthy as a result of the fact I don't meet these. And yet the beauty within each of us comes from the soul within, the choices we make on how we impact ourselves and others, and whether or not we set out to leave people feeling better as a result of interacting with us.
What you just said is in perfect alignment with the power of etiquette and manners. Absolutely. And I think that's so important. I'd like people to take that away when you think about accomplishments, being kind, being true. When I've had a number of people coming out here, service people, and I heard from two of them yesterday, it's been an absolute pleasure to come here. And even though I had to give you bad news that it's not going to be working, you don't understand what it's like when we go into different units and buildings and the way people talk to us. And you have been a complete lady. And there's something to be said about that. People remember how you made them feel.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I think that for me is my measure, is did I leave people feeling better as a result of the interaction? Even if I've had to have a difficult conversation, even if I've had to tell them some news that they might not want, how I deliver it says everything about me. And so, the one quote that I really try and live my life on is, I can't change how somebody chooses to behave towards me. None of my business, entirely up to them. But I do get to choose my response, and my response says everything about me. And since I've started living by that and being much more intentional, I've realized that actually, if somebody tells me something that I don't like, nobody likes to hear that you don't look good, or that you might have put weight on, or whatever it is, because it knocks your confidence. But once I realize actually that's their opinion, and they might not know the whole story of everything else that's going on that you're trying to tackle. And therefore I look at it and go, do you know what, for 51, yeah, I think I'm quite happy with how I am. It might not be the prettiest, I might not be the slimmest, I might not be the best at anything, but I'm the best at being me. And every day, my goal in life is to be a better version of me today than I was yesterday, because that's all I can really control.
And that's what you're doing every single day. I love it. Absolutely. And I love the green and the red, by the way, very festive. Let's just take a look here at your award. Congratulations. Super happy for you, the Empowerment in Broadcasting Award. And part of the reason why I felt this was really great for you, recognizing outstanding leadership in empowering and inspiring audiences through broadcasting, is because you, not only are you doing the work that you're doing as a coach and a mentor, you're an entrepreneur, but you built your own platform, and you were gracious enough to come here and bring authentic achievements. And so you're empowering other people. And what I love about us working together is there's no limitation. It's not like, listen, KIM-ADELE, don't do this with your platform because we're doing this over here. It's like, no, do everything that you want to do. People who come here, have them go over there. It's such a beautiful collaboration. So for anyone who's out there and they're thinking, these two women are talking about media and broadcasting and accomplishments. How can somebody start with a podcast, for example, or getting themselves out on social media? Because sometimes that's important too. And we don't have that confidence in us to get the message out. We think, who's going to listen to us?
It's so true. We hold ourselves back so much, and I'm super grateful for being part of the platform, for having you in my life, and for the collaboration we've got. And I think that the one piece of advice I'd share with anybody is when the opportunity comes, just take it and work out how to do it afterwards. None of this would have happened. I sometimes still pinch myself. I think about the first book I co-authored, which came about on day one of lockdown, first ever lockdown, day one. I got a phone call, somebody saying, Kim, we're writing a book on remote working, and you've led remote teams for years. Would you co-author? And I was like, no, I can't write a book. Can't even write a shopping list. Definitely not for me. And then they came back with, well, you're locked in with a 2.5-year-old. What else are you going to do? And I was like, oh, it's a fair point. It's a fair point. What else am I going to do? I'm going to have a lot of hours and not a lot of company, because obviously at that age she's still sleeping lots, etc. And so I did it. And I had 5 days to write it. And on day 10, we published. And on day 11, in one of the weirdest moments in my life, I was in my pajamas in the back garden on the phone live on BBC Radio London, talking about how you become an international bestseller in lockdown, going, is this even real? So if life's taught me anything, it's that when the opportunity comes, it comes because it's meant for you. So face the fear and take it. And if I can help anybody, then reach out, because sometimes all we need is a little bit of encouragement.
Absolutely. And for people who are listening on a podcast platform and they cannot see the banner, what is the best way to get in touch with you, and who would you like to contact you?
So the best way to get in touch with me is probably, for those listening, if you find my website, it's AuthenticAchievements.com, and you'll find all my contact details. Please do just reach out. You can also find me on most social media, either as KIM-ADELE Randall or as KIM-ADELE 10. And if you go onto the website, all of the contact details are there. So please do get out, reach out, and I will help. And equally, go and visit USA Global TV and Radio, because there's amazing opportunities where you can start out on something a little bit smaller, which is maybe just be interviewed by somebody, appear on somebody else's show, but start to get comfortable with sharing your message. Because I wrote this quote for my little girl, and I believe it to be true of everybody. And if it's okay, I will share that with you. And that is to be kind, to dream big, to take action, and to believe, because you are proof that miracles happen. We are all proof that miracles happen to somebody.
Woo! Thank you so much. Very powerful episode. And to people out there, we had a show yesterday on anxiety and depression during the Christmas season. So do reach out. Whatever your situation is, please look for the joys, look for the positives. There's always something there, always. And to me, every day that my eyes open and I'm still functioning is a win. So thank you, KIM-ADELE. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you, everyone. Our next show is coming up. It's the Mallorca Connection with Mr. Roland Friedel at a new time and a new day. So we'll be back shortly. Bye for now.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.